Hello there Reason people, PoohBear here and welcome to my channel. And today in our mini modular series we're going to be having a look at a number of different sort of modules which are available to us. We've got the A series. We'll also be looking at Blamsoft's Polymodular system. We're going to have a quick look at Complex, and we're also going to be having a look at Voltage Modular, and this is actually version 2. This is the beast, really. Well, I think when it comes down to looking at modular stuff. But hey, we're inside Reason, so actually have a look at some of the stuff actually in Reason itself. So this is the A series. It comes as 2 separate actual racks itself. And one thing to realize is obviously each of these little modules inside these racks, there is no internal wiring between them whatsoever. So everything has to be sort of wired up on the back. You can think of this section over here as very similar to the Hamud in the way we can get our data, our MIDI data in and convert it over to CV. There is a round robin mode, there's a first mode, there's a sort of a random mode, so pick random voices. We can also take a direct input from the keyboard into this particular module, and obviously it's just got just double gate and CV note out. But we can also take external data into this device as well. So a common thing to do is we'll have one of these and then we'll have 8 voices, and we can obviously then connect them up to each one. Nice thing about obviously this rack extension itself is it's very, very clearly laid out. So you'll be very quick at saying, oh, yep, our VCO to our VCF to our VCA, and we can control it with our ADSR. We've got an LFO over here. Other little extra things would be the SH, which is the sample and hold. We've got a noise generator, and we've got a ring modulation, and we've got this little line mixer. It's always miffed me a little bit, this line mixer, because it's a 6-channel line mixer, but yet they give us 8 voices to play with. You'd have thought that should have really been an 8-voice channel mixer, but I'm assuming the reason they've done it this way is purely because of space. It had been so much tighter to add another couple of channels actually into here. So let's actually have a quick look at wiring this device up. Quite straightforward, really. We're going to take this is our note data or a pitch. We're going to put that into the VCO. We're going to take some gate data and put that into our ADSR. Now, I'm only going to use one ADSR, so I'm going to bring that back, and we can use this as a splitter. So I'm going to split this out, and I'm going to control A, VCF, and B, I'm going to take that and then control the gain on the VCA. So now all we need is to take a waveform, and we're going to take the waveform into the VCF. From the VCF, we're going to go through to the VCA, and then obviously we need to take that output into a proper mix channel in Reason. And we should be working. I've got this set up for one voice at the moment. There we go, we've got ourselves a simple voice. So this is quite an old device, which is it's been around for quite a few years. Over the years, I would say I've used it more really for the noise generator and the sample and hold. I don't usually say this. I wouldn't really recommend buying it. It's quite cheap. Each module's only something like £8 or something along them lines. But yeah, it's not one I would recommend. I'd say, yeah, save your money and spend it on something else in this particular case. I've always had a little bit of fun with it myself. So if you've got spare cash, there you go. It's probably worth buying. Okay, what we've got here is Blamsoft's Polymodular system. This is going to obviously be our MIDI to CV converter, our VCO, our VCF, our ADSR, and our VCA. But I've done a separate video on the distributor. I do think it's the best MIDI to CV converter, mainly because it honours notes. That's the real key thing behind this. And yes, it's got loads of other nice little features on it. I did do a separate video on it, so it's probably worth watching that. We've got a really nice VCO here. Obviously, as you can see, it's from the Viking range. They had the Viking one. I don't know if it's sort of emulating a bit of a Moog somewhere down the line. It is a nice, rich VCO. Obviously, we've got dual oscillators here, and we've got some FM. You can sync them up. You can do all sorts of things. You can get some real nice basses, sort of rich, deep sounds from this. And there's obviously a little bit of white noise you can mix in as well. And sorry, this one's got some classic noise as well, but you've got a noise generator. Then we've got our VCF or our filter. There was a thread the other day which is up on Facebook. I don't get involved in them, and I didn't get involved in that one either. But they was talking about filters, and no one mentioned the F16. This is, I think this is like a hidden gem with Inside Reason. This is an absolutely excellent filter. It's got like 16 different modes in it. It's got a note mode, which is keyboard tracking, so it'll actually track your keys, which is brilliant for when you're playing up the higher notes, because then it makes it sound so much more brighter. And even for the deeper notes, you can get some real nice deep rumbles. It's self resonates really easy, so when you pump this up and start driving it, you can get some real nice sounds out of it. And actually, this is an emulation of the Oberheim Matrix 12. It is an excellent filter, and that keyboard was made back in the 80s. That was an 80s keyboard, yeah. Next, we've got ourselves movement, which is our envelope. It's not actually just an envelope. There's a little bit more behind the scenes, but we're only interested in the envelope side. You can turn this thing on its own into an instrument. But the main thing is it's an 8-stage envelope, and it's also got like a loop mode, so you can actually set up your envelopes and actually have it looping around certain stages. The other thing, what's new to me, when I say new to me, I'm pretty sure that when this first came out, you couldn't use this display to move things around. I'm sure it was static and you had to use all your controls to get things working. To be honest, it's quite nice the fact that we have all these controls, because obviously we can automate them, obviously have remote override on them as well, so we can obviously have a controller to control them. It is a great little envelope, and I'll come back to this in a second. I'm going to come back to all of these because there's something special about all of these which I haven't mentioned yet. And then we've got this is the Mark 8, and it's a VCA. I say it's just a VCA. There is a parametric EQ built into it, but obviously this is an important part of this particular bundle. And what makes this bundle really, really special is when we flip to the back, as you can see, there's absolutely loads of ports. As I said, this has got 2 oscillators, but it's actually 8 voices. We've got ourselves a real nice filter, but it's 8 filters built into one. The same with the envelope generator. It's actually 8 separate envelopes, and obviously with the VCA, we've got 8 inputs as your box standard VCA, and then obviously a couple of out. But it is 8 separate voices, and it is 8, so with this envelope, it's starting off, I hit another key, well, it'll start off another envelope while that one's still carrying on, so it's 8 of everything. So to build yourself up an 8-note polyphonic synthesizer, as I did do in one of my previous parts, you can do it just using this much. It is so, as you can see, the footprint is absolutely tiny, and you can get some brilliant sounds out of it. It's a little bit different when we come to wiring this device up, because we are crossing over between poly and obviously our box standard MIDI CV and obviously audio. So let's actually have a quick look at wiring this up. We've got to make sure we're in poly mode to start with. Let's start off with the gates. This time I'm going to take my gate, I'm going to put it down into my envelope, and then I'm going to take the note, and I'm going to put the note, obviously I need some pitch data going into my VCO, but I'm also going to take a note. So even though I'm saying channel 2, well, these are, because I'm in poly mode, these are all poly, and I'm actually going to put that into the note of my filter, so I can then set my key tracking up. Then that's basically that side of it wired up, and then what we need to do is from the actual envelope itself, we're going to want to control, and I'm going to need to split it, so I can control A, my VCA, and B, I'm going to control my filter, my VCF. Then we're going to need to take out, obviously, a bit of the VCO data, and obviously we're going to put that through our VCF. It does wire up 2 voices at the same time, but I'm only going to run it in mono mode. Then from our filter, we're going to need to go into our VCA. And then if we flip around back to the beginning and make sure we're wired up. Oh, did I actually wire up? No, I didn't. Just quickly wire up. We're going to need a little bit of sound there, aren't we? And hopefully we got something. Yeah, nice, straightforward. I use distributor a lot. As I said, I've done a separate video for. I love the filter. I think the filter is absolutely brilliant and really underrated. If you don't know about it, go and test it. You can buy all these components separately, but I would recommend buying the bundle. To be honest, when this bundle first came out, I'm sure it was around about even up near the €89 mark. It's currently, I think, £26, which gets you everything. There is a cheaper mode, so if you've already got a distributor, you can just buy these other little components separately. This is actually a free device here, by the way. But I think it's £26 just for that one device, because I've used it for so many different things. I should do a few more videos on it, really. I think it's absolutely worth it, and it's still very current. Whereas I thought the A series wasn't quite as current, I really do think this is current because of, as I say, mainly because of the filter. Yes, it's a great VCO as well, and yeah, the other components which go with it, brilliant, and distributor, yeah, brilliant as well. So yeah, it is very current. It's definitely worth buying. And you can have a lot of fun with it. And as I say, because it's purely is modular, you can mix in and out things. So there's nothing wrong in us using the Murph VCOs and a few other things, and then just use the VCF. This is a VCF in the middle, and we could sort of wire that in and then carry on doing our other stuff. So yeah, great little system. Highly recommend it. Okay, we're going to have a quick look now at Voltage Modular. And in fact, this is Voltage Modular 2. It's actually just been released. What I've got along the bottom here is there's a version of Voltage Modular called Nucleus, which is a free version. And these are all the devices that actually come with the free version. And as you can see, it's quite an extensive range. There's quite a few modules, and this is extremely usable with the free version. I will admit, I am a big fan of Voltage Modular. There's another one out there called VCV Rack, which is actually totally free. Well, actually, you can buy some modules within it, but most of it is actually free. The only reason I have moved away from VCV Rack in favour of Voltage Modular is they used to do something called the bridge, so we could manipulate and bring stuff into Reason, but they're going to be depreciating that in version 2. So yeah, I've now moved totally over to Voltage Modular, and I really do like this. So what I've done here is I've just literally pulled out some of the components, the free ones, to wire up. This might can be look a little bit messy if we're doing all the wiring up down here. So it is quite straightforward to wire up once you get your heads around these things, but this is quite straightforward again. So if you think about it, this is going to be our VCO, this is our VCF, this is our VCA, our ADSR, and I just happen to have a delay and a reverb, so you can obviously just ignore them two components for the minute. I might actually be able to zoom in a little bit more here. Let's see if we get this zoomed in. So what we're going to do to start with, we're going to grab some pitch data and we're going to wire that up into our VCO. We're then going to take some gate data and we're going to put the gate data into the ADSR. And now we're going to want to take that gate data and control the VCA, and we're also going to take this gate data, and this is where this is obviously a little bit different from Reason. If I click on it, you can see I've got all these multi-ports, and I can take that across, and I'm going to control my VCA now. Please note I've already got the modulation stuff turned up on these two components. We're then going to take a waveform, whatever we want, out of the VCO, and that's going to go through to our filter. Then we're going to take from our filter into our VCA. Then from my VCA, I'm going to go through into this little delay unit, which I'm going to wire up to a reverb and external's that side. And hopefully we got ourselves a sound. Now, we can actually do quite a bit more. I say quite a bit more. We can do all sorts of things with this itself, but within Reason. So you've got to remember, this is obviously our Reason channel, isn't it? There's no good point having that's like a separate synthesizer on its own. But we can actually utilize this and actually have this as part of our mini modular setup within Reason itself. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to grab myself a VCO. So I'm just going to grab this VCO from Murph. It's going to plonk it on top. Hold down the shift key while I create it. I'm also going to grab an analyzer so we can actually have a quick look at the signal as well. So let's wire that in. And let's quickly have a look on the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this sine wave. I'm going to put the sine wave into the audio in. I'm going to take the output and just put it into the scope for the moment. let's put this into self-oscillator mode. I'm probably going to have to have a little change around with the rate and everything so we can see what's going on. So let's very quickly, to start with, I am going to just disconnect this audio for the moment, and I'm going to take the audio in and I'm just going to push it straight to the audio out. So effectively, at this particular stage, we shouldn't be doing anything, but as you can see, we've got ourselves a signal here. So let's just scale this up a little bit. And if I just put this into MIDI mode to start with and play a low key, hopefully we've got a little bit better signal to look at. So here's our signal here. And what I'm going to do now, yeah, if that's on the screen, that's brilliant. So there's quite an extensive library here. I'm just going to grab anything. I say anything, it's going to grab myself something I can actually shape the signal with. That would do me for the moment. Let's bring that back on the screen so you can see what I'm doing. I'm now going to take the audio in, which we're pumping in, and I'm going to push that into the input of this particular module, and then I'm going to send the results out. And if I just move this out of the way, let's get rid of the library. You can see it all. So this is our VCO. It's going through into Voltage Modular. I'm now going to start to tweak around, and as you can see, we're affecting our VCO here. Now, obviously, this bit here can be our filter. So we've come straight from our Voltage Modular into our filter and so on and so forth. Or we might want to do something in here and we might want to filter it in here, and then we're going to pump the result out. So really what I'm trying to say is Voltage Modular itself can actually fit in within our little mini modular series into our modular setup within reason. And that's why I think it's definitely 100% worth mentioning. And obviously because of the free version of Voltage Modular, it's 100%, well, go and get it. It's free, it's not going to cost you anything. And I do think it actually fits better into this kind of setup than some other instruments like Complex, because Complex itself is modular within its own right, and it's lacking a lot of CVs in and out. So it makes it a little bit harder to manipulate that inside our mini modular series. So this is Complex One by Reason Studios. Yes, this is a modular kind of setup synth. In a way, I wasn't going to actually show this because it doesn't fit too well into our mini modular series. Yes, as I said, it's quite modular in the way that you can actually build this up and you can get some great sounds out of it. But it's because it's sort of lacking mainly the audio ins. I mean, it needs at least 6 audio ins. It needs at least 6 audio out for this system really to work well. Yeah, having a few more CVs would help us as well. Because it's quite self-contained, you know, with the Blamsoft Polymodular series, yeah, we can make that totally modular. Even with Voltage Modular, we can make that totally modular within reason itself. But I find this one a little bit more of a weirder fit. And in fact, I would say something like the VK2 from Blamsoft, again, would be a better fit into the mini modular sort of series I'm doing than this particular device would be. But I'm going to just quickly wire it up, and then, because as a device, yeah, it's a bit of fun. So the first thing I'm going to take some, save the key. This is going to be our pitch, so we're going to put that into our VCO. So we've got our VCO here, we've got our VCF here, I've got an ADSR, our VCA's over here. So if we take some data from our VCO and we're going to put that through to our VCF, we're going to take from the VCF and we're going to put that on. In fact, before I put that out, I'm going to take some gate data, if it's going to start sounding noisy, and I'm going to trigger our ADSR. I'm then going to take this envelope and I'm going to control some of the volume, and then I'm also going to control the VCF. So now I'm going to take that output. As I say, if I wired it up previously without having anything there, it would just start sounding quite noisy. And ooh, where have we got no sound? Because I didn't have MIDI focus. So there we go. That's it, quite simply wired up. It is a bit of a fun device, as I say. It starts to get a lot more fun when we start playing around with the clocks and some of the other goodies down here. But as I said, personally, fitting it into the Mini Modular Series, yeah, you can kind of do it, but it's one of them things, it's because there's so much of it. Why would I put this device in just to use, say, this component only in a Mini Modular Series? It doesn't make sense. If I was going to load up this as a thing, I would end up using a lot more of it, which then gets away from what we're trying to do with the Mini Modular Series itself. So I'm not trying to knock it too much because I think you can get some great sounds out of it. But at the same time, I really do think it is about 5 years too late to the market. And something like the VK2 from Blamsoft, personally, I think is a lot better. So this is just the fun bit of project where we're going to take the patches which we have literally just made, and we're going to just push them into a simple, well, I won't even call it a track really, just a little bit of fun. What I've got myself some effects going on over here. In fact, the wet and dry is being controlled by a random LFO. What I've got stacked up here, I've done this before in another video where I'm actually going to be using the sequencer, and it's running quite slowly from Thor, and that's actually going to be controlling the patch changes from sequences. I've only just literally got sequences recently, and I really do like the way it works and it edits. I think it's a little bit better than the poly step. And again, I've done this before where I have my MIDI CV converter, and I've had several stacked up here, and what I've done is just I've grabbed them and dropped them at the top of each of my instruments. So we're using the same piece of data from here to control all the other sounds. I will be flipping delta on a little way through, and that's just going to break up the notes which we got coming in and just transposing them and doing a few extra things. Again, when we come into this stack, I'm using Euclideum again just to break up a few of the notes, and as you can see, I've got a nice big shimmer on that. I have got a matrix running here, but the matrix, all it's doing is I've got a little sequencer inside that one, which is just going to be firing off a few little steps in the sequencer. This is an interesting one. I've decided to use compulsion. I've got the division, so it's running very, very slowly. And I'm using this data to change the transpose on the note view. So again, I'm taking the data and just transposing it up and down. And we're going to be driving the poly step. And just over the far side, it's the box standard stuff which I've built in the past where I've got like a little tambourine sound. Got a very interesting tambourine sound going through this, which doesn't sound anything like a tambourine sound at all. And we got ourselves just a few bits of drums, snares, and just the usual sort of stuff. And just remember again, this is just all these instruments obviously set up in a mono mode. So we're just literally listening to pure mono synths here. And I'd say it's just a pure bit of fun. So I'm going to say bye for now, and I'll play this out.